I'm going to start this video off by apologizing for the huge delay in content. I've been very, very busy lately, and I haven't really got the time to make new videos. I have not quit YouTube. I would like to continue pursuing this. Alright, let's start that over. Okay, I'm going to start this video off by apologizing. I have had a huge delay in content here, but rest assured I have not quit. I will continue to make content when the time arises. Anyway, what we're looking at here is, well, the insides of an IBM 5160 PC XT. This one is one I've just recently rebuilt. It's pretty well maxed out spec-wise for a 5160. Next to it is, well, the remnants of another IBM 5160 that's in a little bit worse condition. That one I will get into here in a minute, but let's go over the system specs on this real quick. We have the maximum of 640K of RAM, one of the standard full height Tandon floppy drives. I think these are 360K. A 40 meg. This is a Seagate, what is it, ST151 drive. So that's a 40 megabyte hard drive. It's got its own separate controller card in here. It's an MFM drive. The power supply is a Aztec or Asetek. Not sure how you're supposed to pronounce that. Power supply, it's an IBM part. This is actually a case off of a slightly earlier machine. The motherboard, however, is a 256 to 640K revision board, so it's a later revision motherboard. I just pieced together the best looking parts to build this unit. This one over here, the case is in pretty nasty shape. It's rusting quite badly. I do have plans to repaint it and redo it, but that's going to have to wait. There really isn't much of a physical difference between the machines except for the power supplies, and honestly I think this Aztec power supply is slightly better quality, and the most redeeming factor about it is that it works, unlike the generic unbranded IBM part number drive or power supply over there. That one is, yeah, it just has an IBM part number on it. It doesn't have any sort of manufacturer marking on it, and it most certainly does not work. The motherboard on here, I had to replace the board that was in this machine because it was not an original IBM board. Matter of fact, I have it over here. Ooh, typical camera work here. Wow, my camera zoomed out. It sounds absolutely terrible. I think there's something going bad with this camera. Anyway, this is the board that came in the machine, and yeah, it's not an official IBM board. It's pretty much the same spec. Layout's a bit different. The dip switch block has totally different configurations. It doesn't work with the standard IBM stuff, so I have no idea how to configure anything on this board because I don't have the reference for that, for those dip switch settings. I'm not sure who manufactures this, whatever that is. 3 A's or 3 triangle weird things around a red circle. It's got a weird sticker that looks like the globe on it. I don't know. I'm not familiar with this manufacturer or anything about it. It feels really cheap, it looks cheap, and it smells cheap. It has that kind of 1980s Taiwanese nasty smelling electronics smell where, you know, it's like, it just smells slightly of burning chemicals. Yeah, that board isn't going back in here, and nor is it going in that machine. We'll get on to what board I'm going to be putting in there in a second. But yeah, let's go ahead and power this system up. We'll take a look at what it can do and show you the rather unique little software package that's installed on here. And it's actually running DOS 5. So that's a bit strange, but it's a little newer than what it would have come with. But hey, it's on there, it's on the hard drive, it's pre-installed, and I'm going to keep it for now. We'll find out if I can replace it with something a little more period correct later down the road. But for now, I think I'm going to go ahead and keep that on there because it works and it looks fine, and it works just fine and does everything I need it to do on the machine. So yeah, let's go ahead and turn it on. So we've got our IBM 5153 CGA display here in the back. Let's go ahead and power that beast up and wait for the flickering on the camera to start. It's actually not that horrible. Okay, now for the long-awaited clunk of the power supply. Gotta love the noise of these things. They're not a quiet machine, that's for sure. That power supply fan makes an awful racket, but it doesn't sound bad. It's just loud. It spins quite high RPM, but yeah, moves a lot of air through it. I think it's only like a 120 watt power supply. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. It's like either 120 or 160 watts. There we go. We passed our memory check, 640K of RAM. Go ahead and zoom in on that screen a bit so you can see what's going on. I apologize for the shaky camera work, but it's just, again, just a quick video here to show this thing off a little bit. Alright, and this is what it boots up to. This is kind of a little graphic menu that allows you to launch other software that's installed on DOS. And installed on here are some interesting kind of accounting, tax software and stuff like that, along with Lotus 123, WordPerfect, that sort of software. So this was definitely owned by a business somewhere at one point. I've gone in there, looked at the tax software. It's probably about the most boring thing ever, so I'm not going to bother showing that. But if we go down here and press F10 on the keyboard, we can boot us back out to the DOS prompt and do a directory on here. You can see all the stuff installed on here. There's a lot of crap installed on this DOS installation. Let me go over to, wait for it to finish because it's got to figure out how much free space. Got 19 megs free, which is reasonable. And if we just go to directory PW, that's PFS Professional Writer. Quite a nice little program. Run PW again. That'll launch the program, hopefully, any day now. Takes a minute. Old slow MFM drives. I mean, yeah, what do you expect? So we can go ahead and create and edit files here, change different color stuff in the setup, bunch of different settings there, save directories, all that sort of stuff, printer ports. This keyboard is terrible. It's not a Model F, it's a terrible clone keyboard. Yeah. Cheap, nasty thing, but hey, it works. The layout just throws me off every time because your delete keys down here and your escape keys here instead of being in the corner. All your function keys are over this side. It is not the best. I'm not a fan of this layout at all. But yeah, let's get back to here. Again, there's really nothing too special about this program. It's just a word processor. You can type things and they appear on the screen and you can print them and you can edit stuff. And I like it a whole lot better than WordPerfect. I know a lot of people prefer WordPerfect for DOS, but this is my go-to word processor in DOS. Either this or Microsoft Works 2. I do like that program. I have that on my IBM PS1, and I have that also on my PS2 model L40SX. I'll be showing that in a video here soon because that is probably my favorite machine that I have to date. It's a very cool little machine. Alright, let's go ahead and exit back out of that and continue. That should boot us back to the DOS prompt. Back up a directory, and yeah, I mean, it's DOS. I don't have any games on here because I have no way to transfer files to it yet. I'm still, matter of fact, that's partially what this machine is going to be used for. Because I don't have a machine that has both a 3.5-inch floppy drive and a 5.25-inch floppy drive, so it's very difficult for me to get software for this at the moment. So I'm pretty much stuck with what it has or what I already had on 5.25 floppies, which amounts to DOS 2.1 and that PFS Professional Write and Norton Utilities, and Norton Utilities was already installed on this machine. Matter of fact, that's something we could take a look at here. Let me see if I can figure out what it's called. Norton. So we want to do CD Norton, and NI should be Norton Integrator. Launch that, and it brings up this interesting... Yep, my camera is definitely dying. It's giving me lens errors now, so that's good. I'll have to try to use my DSLR for filming these, even though it doesn't have very good autofocus, so that's going to be just jolly. Anyway, let's go ahead and look at the Norton Integrator. This program allows you to do all sorts of drive-related things, whether it be you can do sorting, different stuff, test disks, just all sorts of things here, format and recover files, list things by directory, that all that sort of stuff. Speed disk, looks like you can do... Yeah, let's run a speed disk on the hard drive and see what happens. So this is basically defrag. It says speed up disk operations by eliminating file fragmentation, generate a report on fragmentation. Do not run speed disk from a batch file. Do not turn off or reboot while speed disk is running. Yeah, maybe we won't bother with that right now. System information, we can look at some of the system specs here. This is pretty cool. So we have our Intel 8088 processor listed there. One parallel port, no serial ports. The parallel port's actually built onto the video card in this. I don't have a separate parallel card installed at the moment, but I might put another one in there. I do have one. Yeah, it says there's 3 available drives, disk drives, even though there's actually only 2, and I have it set for only 1 floppy drive, so I don't know what that's all about. It's probably just detecting that it can have a second drive there. It's really weird because when you try to navigate to drive B, it works just fine for drive A. Like, drive A and drive B you can navigate to, but they both point to drive A. So if you change directory over to drive B, it'll just list the contents of drive A. Yeah, I don't know what that's all about, but it doesn't really affect anything, so I'm not too concerned by it. I'll have to double check the dip switch settings. I thought I had it set for 1 floppy drive only, but I may have accidentally switched it to 2 when I was playing around with it. 640K of memory, 123K used by DOS, 517K free. Yeah. 640K main memory, 32K in video RAM. So that the crappy little video card that's in here has 32K of RAM, it looks like. So nothing fantastic there. I don't know how that really compares to other video cards of the time. I do have the original video card for it, but it has some issues, and I will show you in a minute what I mean by that. But yeah, so that's pretty much everything that we can see inside here. We'll go ahead and escape out of this and power down the system, and then I'm going to show you what that video card's doing. And maybe somebody out there will have some suggestions on how I can possibly fix it. Because it works, it's just got some corruption. So I'm thinking it's a memory-related issue on it. There's probably some crapped out video memory on that somewhere. So let's go ahead and get that installed. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and install this video card here in the system. This was the original IBM card, at least I believe it was. So yeah, that goes into this weird little stabilizing slot in the back and slots down in here. It's quite a large card. It is an absolute full-length card, largest card this thing can take. Go ahead and plug the video connector back in. It's just a little 9-pin DB9 type connector for the CGA video, and we'll power the system back up. And yeah, this is the card that I had in it. It's the very strange little like single chip type solution, well, 3-chip solution. Just a little Cirrus Logic chip there. we can focus on that. Of course not. And two other, what are these? Gold Star branded chips. Those must be our RAM. So we've got just like a single GPU and two memory chips. At least that's what I'm thinking those are. Yeah, I don't know. I imagine that's what it is. But we have a parallel port and video all integrated into this one card. So it's actually quite a nice little capable card. It's got a bunch of different video modes it can do. It can do MDA, CGA, and mono CGA. And you can configure it as LPT 1, 2, or 3. So I have it on LPT 1 now. I'm probably going to end up configuring this as LPT 2 and installing this other parallel card that I have here. It's a little on the rusty side, but I'll probably put that in there as well. So I have two different parallel cards. I don't know what for, but it just seems like the thing to do since I have them. And I've got lots of expansion slots, so let's go ahead and turn this beast back on, and we'll show you the problem that's occurring with this video card. Now, I'm not exactly opposed to using this little one, mainly because this card does take up a lot of room in here. I'd kind of rather have the extra 4 expansion slots over here open for other things that I'd want to put in. This one here does tuck nicely in next to my hard drive controller card here. Unfortunately, it's not compatible with slot 8. Slot 8 is a bit strange in how it operates. The very last expansion slot is really only usable by a few different devices, which one of them could possibly be this XT IDE adapter card, which you can make slot 8 compatible with some modifications and a little board that fits on it. But yeah, this is a whole nother story, a little kit that I put together. Got her on eBay for like 30 some bucks. Interesting little adapter. It allows you to use an IDE hard drive or compact flash / disk on module with the XT type machines, or really any 8-bit ISA compatible machine. So this will be a subject for a whole nother video. I'm still trying to figure out how to use it. And really the documentation is quite poor on these. Seems like a really brilliant group of people put these together, but haven't really documented it for people that, well, are still learning the art of these vintage computers. So yeah, this looks fine, right? We notice nothing really wrong here. So let's go ahead and back out to, actually we'll load up WordPerfect just by pressing E. And we'll immediately start noticing some problems here. It only really happens, you saw a little bit of flickery stuff going on there. Oh, there we go. And now watch what happens as I start typing. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's crazy characters flickering all over the screen. Only for a split second, though. The camera may not be capturing this, but let me get it in a little closer here. There you go. Now you can see it. Yeah. So the more you type, all this crap starts going across the screen. I'm going to guess that's probably due to the memory, one of the chips having a slight issue somewhere along the line. And it does completely go away when I switch over to this other little more modern card. I actually really like this card, so this is probably what's going to stay in there. It's just, I don't even know who makes it, probably Gold Star, since that's the brand on the RAM chips. I don't know, either that or Cirrus Logic. Imagine that's probably just the chipset manufacturer there. I don't know. There's really nothing, no branding or anything on it. So yeah, if you got any info on that card, let me know. It's a neat little thing. But yeah, I'll probably end up just using that since it fits nicely back in this slot 7 next to my hard drive controller, and then just kind of tucks away in there and you don't even notice it. And leaves 4 more expansion slots out here to use for other stuff. So yeah, and that's pretty much it for the hardware of this thing and software. I'm going to go ahead and power it down. We'll talk a little bit more about this other machine. Okay, now this is the other 5160 I have here. This is a slightly newer case revision and newer power supply. The motherboard in my other one here actually came out of this case. I However, this one was in much worse condition. Its upper case is a little rusty. The back of this one around the expansion slots is quite corroded and rusty looking, so that's going to need redone and repainted. Yeah, but you'll notice something down inside here. That is an Intel 486DX 33 megahertz CPU. This is going to be set up as a much more powerful DOS machine, possibly even a Windows 3.1 machine. I'm not sure how far I want to take that, though. I'm thinking I'm going to keep it just DOS because that's more correct for a 5160, even though it's not going to be correct at all with that motherboard in there. It doesn't really bother me that much. I want to install a single 5¼ inch drive alongside a 3.5 inch floppy drive. That way I can transfer files from a modern computer, modern-ish computer with a floppy drive over to here, and then from this machine to 5¼ inch floppy drives. Now, I could just install a 5¼ inch floppy drive in like an old Windows XP machine or something, but that's no fun. I really want to get this, I want to use this machine for something since these cases are super, super cool. And the only AT style board that I had that would fit in here is this one as a 486 socket for a 46 in it. I do have this other Pentium board, but it doesn't fit, unfortunately, so that's not going to go in there. The power supply on this is toast. I get 0 volts on all the rails, so it does try to kick on. I hear a relay go and the fan twitches a little bit, but that's about all it gets. I don't think the fuse is blown. I think there's something else a little more sinister going on inside there, so I'm going to have to open that up and see if I can figure out what's happened with it. It's probably some blown capacitors or something that have completely gone open circuit and made the thing pretty much entirely useless. So that's going to need fixed. I'm also going to need to source some better standoffs for this board because it's kind of flopping around in the breeze in there. Even though I've got the one screw kind of in, it's still the little plastic pegs that are supposed to slide into the chassis here don't really go in properly. They're not quite the right size, so I have to get something that will fit. I'll probably just steal them off of this board because I know that will fit in there. Also, the 2 floppy drives that came in this thing are these guys here. There's 2 identical ones. Neither of these seem to work at all, really. They make noise and they spin up, but that's about it. They refuse to read any discs that I put in them. So I'm not sure what's up with that. It could be some, again, some bad capacitors on here. I had that issue with my IBM PS1 floppy drive. That one I had to take apart and recap. There's a whole bunch of little surface mount capacitors on there I had to remove and replace. Could be something similar with those, but I'm not sure. If I can get them both working, I'll put them both back in here the way they were, and just find a adapter type bracket that allows me to put in a 3.5 inch floppy drive and maybe even a CD-ROM drive. I might go that far. That would require me to get an IDE adapter for this, though. Yeah. So that's pretty much where we stand with these machines. This one is a huge work in progress. I'm really just in a conceptual stage on that. Still not entirely sure what I'm going to do with it. If I can find a better motherboard that's got some more integrated features, I will go with that. And I might modify the case to make that Pentium board fit. It would fit except for one little piece of metal that sticks out down underneath this drive, like a little support bracket that sticks up. If I cut that out, it would fit in just fine and work just perfectly. But unfortunately, I really don't want to modify this case too much because these things are still quite valuable. I want everything that I do to these to be completely reversible. And aside from painting, which this case is going to require to be repainted, it's in really pretty bad shape. The bottom of it looks terrible. The back of it looks terrible. And the very top of the upper chassis is pitted and rusty and nasty looking. So that's going to need repainted. I'm going to have to figure out some way to do a textured paint on these. I'm going to have to be able to mimic this kind of orange peel beige paint. If anybody knows where I can get some paint like that, please leave it down in the comments, or how to get that sort of effect out of the paint. I see this one over here is the slightly more beat up one. It looks alright from the sides, but trust me, the top of that is in pretty poor condition. But yeah, alright. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for more updates on these two 5160s. And I hope I'll get some more content out here for you guys soon. I have a fully upgraded L40SX that's in the works for a video production, so stay tuned for that. And until next time, take it easy, guys.